Thank you, Mr Pritchard. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship. I'd like to thank the honourable member for South Norfolk for his excellent speech in opening the debate and the contributions from members around the chamber. I think we all made very clear our very similar feelings on this, and I hope the Government Minister is ready to jump up and answer all of our queries with a very positive response. So I rise today to speak on behalf of more than 265,000 people who've collectively signed these two petitions. Many of these signatures will be from those very people who the change being considered by the government will impact. People who pay their taxes, keep our hospitals running, manage local businesses and serve our communities. Families who came to Britain in good faith, who are now facing extreme uncertainty about their livelihoods. The government's immigration white paper, published in May, proposes to double the wait for permanent British settlement status from 5 years to 10, except for those who qualify under an earned settlement, amongst other key changes. This sudden decision has left hundreds of BNO passport holders and skilled immigrant workers in my constituency and across the country understandably anxious about their futures. I'm under no doubt that after years of Conservative mismanagement, the British immigration system needs to change. It is completely right that the Home Office takes the necessary steps to fix a framework left in tatters. But for months, potentially abrupt changes to qualifying for indefinite leave to remain have been shrouded in mystery for BNO and skilled worker visas. At the very least, these visa holders deserve clarity. And yet, since the publication of the White Paper, clarity is exactly what they have been denied. The government cannot keep these people in the dark, and we need answers today. I'm so proud that my constituency of Sutton and Cheam is home to such a vibrant and inspiring Hong Kong diaspora. Some of the more than 160,000 Hong Kongers who have come to the UK under the scheme implemented by the last Conservative government. Where I live, I see first-hand the contributions Hong Kongers make to my community every day. They serve as business owners, teachers, doctors, community leaders, and since May, as a colleague on Sutton Council. Many fled repression from the CCP and put their trust in a life in Sutton. That trust was not abstract. For many, it was rooted in a promise that the BNO visa scheme would provide a safe pathway to rebuild their lives here, with settlement after 5 years and citizenship after 6. The BNO scheme was not an act of charity. It was under a solemn commitment born of Britain's obligation under the Sino-British Joint Declaration when Beijing began to tear away Hong Kongers' freedoms in 2019. It was a recognition of over 150 years of British control of Hong Kong and how our histories and our futures are inextricably linked. In a world of transnational repression orchestrated by the CCP, permanent settlement in Britain is a vital safeguard for Hong Kongers on this visa route. For Hong Kongers who have grasped the BNO lifeline, the prospect of doubling the wait for indefinite leave to remain could be devastating. So many families I've spoken to have built their futures around that promise of a 5-year route. They make the ultimate sacrifice to uproot their lives in Hong Kong and move to this country because they believed Britain would stand by its word. To make BNO passport holders extend to 10-year ILR, the consequences for my constituents would be brutal. Without ILR or a UK passport, many BNO holders are left with a Hong Kong Special Administrative Region passport. Once that expires, they face major barriers to international mobility. For some, travel would become impossible without risking interaction with PRC authorities. Families would be cut off from loved ones, and careers that require international travel would be closed off. Even children born here to BNO parents could be left waiting until they're 11 years old before gaining a passport. The consequences for education are equally as stark. BNO students must secure settled status before qualifying for home fee status at UK universities. Under these new proposals, a 10-year wait would mean most BNO students would face international fees their families simply cannot afford. When the decision was made to take up the BNO route and travel to and settle in the UK, this timing will have been considered and understood. An important consideration for those families fleeing persecution, yet not wanting to compromise their children's future. and their access to affordable further education. That timing and opportunity now risk being torn up by this government. This change would see the shutting down of futures and the door closed on an entire generation of young Hong Kongers who want nothing more than to study, work and contribute to this country. Hong Kongers came to places like Sutton to escape censorship, surveillance and persecution. Do we really want to answer their courage with confusion? Recent correspondence from the Home Office to a Labour MP that I'm sure many of us have seen suggested that the existing pathway would remain unchanged for those already holding BNO visas, and that the proposed changes to the language requirements would apply to new applicants from April 2026 onwards only. This, however, was contradicted by later correspondence released to a number of letters issued by, I'm sure, members around this room. So I'd like assurances and urge the Minister to reflect carefully before making any changes to ILR for BNO visa holders. Hong Kongers' lives are already clouded in so much uncertainty. They need clear guidance on how any changes to immigration policy will affect them. The impact of this white paper on Hong Kongers would be immense, and assurances must be provided when so much is at stake for so many of my constituents. And what of skilled worker visas? This is the UK's primary visa route for individuals seeking to work here. It includes the health and care workers subcategory, the very nurses, doctors and carers who keep hospitals such as St Helier in our borough running every day and look after our constituents in their homes. Britain cannot hope to attract the best and brightest talent while leaving thousands of those on skilled worker visas in limbo. The Immigration White Paper was published 4 months ago, but those on this immigration visa still have no clarity on what lies ahead for their future here in Britain. These are people who keep institutions like our NHS afloat, who fill critical shortages across our economy and contribute to Britain from day one of their arrival. They deserved certainty on what changes to immigration policy meant for them from the very beginning. The government cannot claim to fix our immigration system by pulling the rug out from those who put their faith in it. Hong Kongers and skilled workers deserve fairness and they deserve stability. So, on my closing note, I urge the Minister to stop changing the rules mid-game. Play fair, as members around this room have all made very, very clear. Stand by your word and the word of the previous Conservative government who, in all fairness, brought this scheme in with foresight and compassion for the people of Hong Kong. Please give people the certainty to build their lives as fully as they can in this country by retaining the 5+1 time limits for BNO and skilled workers, and I hope to hear the Minister give reassurance of that when he winds up later. Thank you.
The floor. I think people can see who has shown interest in this debate, and they may well draw their own conclusions from it. I'll give way.
And I'm not standing up to defend the opposition in any way, but can we just remember why we're here? Because we're talking about a government that is planning and considering the moving of the goalposts on people who are halfway through an application for ILR. So I know we can point around the room at who's at fault of this, but let's not forget a government is considering moving the goalposts for people who are now going to sit for further months with uncertainty. So let's focus on who's being challenged here in this room today, please. Can we remember that, please, Minister?
Grateful for the honourable gentleman and his harking back to the 2010 to 2015 period there. It felt truly like we were back in other times, but I'll address his points as I go along. My intention, Mr Pritchard, is to set out our stalls of government to address the points that colleagues have raised, though I think there are some clear themes that hopefully, well, I certainly should be able to do in the time available to us.